Welcome to another episode of the Nice Minds podcast, and we're also doing like a dual podcast today with my boy Kevin Loesch. Loesch is how it's pronounced, right?
Yeah, actually, it's either or. Kevin Loesch, Kevin Loesch, doesn't matter.
Word. And he's with Kev's Perspective.
Yeah, boy.
I love to get like in depth with people, so I like to get vulnerable, talk about obvious setbacks of 2020. The different creative hurdles that you might have gone through this year, because I know for you, you got into live show stuff, so you guys haven't been able to do shows and all that stuff. But first, I like to get everybody's background. So just what's your background in music and entertainment?
Yeah, man. That's a good question. So for me, my background in music is really extensive. As to like, first I was a drummer for 10 years, and then I drummed in jazz bands, heavy metal bands. I've been in I joined hip hop later on as Kev Loe because I wanted to work in a different industry. Like, that was it. Like, I just wanted to work in a different subsection, like, realistically, because I was like, well, I've worked in jazz, I've worked in heavy metal, and I've been pretty successful in those. Let's see how this one goes. And it was just the one that you could do solo. You know what I mean? And then from being a drummer to an artist to then being a hired drummer for some artists in Minnesota, I then moved on to be a concert promoter later on after I started my company, which, the Miles Graves company. I started that company with Miles. That was a 1.5-year project. And then we were not running the company the same. So then I was just like, well, you're my good friend, but we just don't think same on business. So I left his company, and I literally the day I left, Cato calls me and was like, hey man, I saw that you left the company on LinkedIn. I need someone to help me out as an intern. And then later on, it's history. I became an actual concert promoter. Wasn't supposed to be for CLM, but it worked out. It just worked out that way. Like, Cato wanted some help, and I kicked ass, and he was like, you have a knack for this. And now I'm trying to transition to I take over the whole Midwest market for Cato, and he can handle the South. It's kind of the idea.
That's what's up. Yeah, you guys have been everywhere. And especially last year, you guys were all over. I mean,
Dude,
and like
crazy.
You said, I heard of you through Miles, because I started working with Miles when you guys were kind of starting the company, and it was pretty much right when I joined, was like right before you left.
Right as it was right as I left.
Right
So
as
I heard you were in doing some engineering for him and production. Literally right as I left, I was like, oh, that's sick. Like, I've known you for years. You've been around the scene. You know what I mean? So I mean, we knew you were a good dude, and you were doing a lot of work. I knew he threw a lot of work at you. So I was like, we appreciated that. But it was weird because, like I said, right as I left, he did anything he wanted to do with it. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, it's his name, it's his company. But the artist empowerment, transparency, and clarity, dude, I literally, and the logo, you're looking at who
that's
you're looking
amazing.
at it.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's super interesting because that's almost exactly the same background as me, except I would be Miles in that situation, because I had a buddy when I first started Nice Entertainment. He designed my logo. He did all of the web design. We ran Nice Entertainment for like 1.5 years. We booked a bunch of shows together. I mean, he was basically the creative brains behind like all the aesthetic, everything. So if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have been able to launch, what I ended up doing with Nice Entertainment. And then, 1.5 years in, he just decided it wasn't really for him. And we had known each other since 5th grade, so it was no bad blood or anything, because we're homies for life. But super similar background. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, you learn something from that, right? Like, I encourage anyone to start a business if they want to be an entrepreneur. Me and my buddy Grime, Brady Aiken, talked about this recently on how people throw around a couple words. They throw around like marketing, they throw around entrepreneurship, and they throw around branding. 3 words that are very popular that nobody really knows the hard work that goes into it. So I always say, like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, start a real company and try to have employees under you, and like, you'll deal with real bottlenecks and you'll deal with real issues. And then you'll also deal with, like me and Miles, we did not run the company the same, and we were having a lot of disagreements, and it was kind of, it was kind of known in the company that like I did stuff one way and he did another. Like, we both did 50-50. So then finally he was having like an exiting interview with me because he's very professional, and he was like, I gave him feedback. He gave me my feedback. I gave him my pipeline. I gave him all my work, and I just said like, I'll start over. And that for me was scary, man. I actually
I
cried that
bet.
day because
Yeah.
I literally was like a year and a half of work. I spent my senior year of college prepping for that. Like my last whole year of college was prepping Miles Graves to go public. And then after that, like I was in the middle of a shitty logistics job I hated in Minneapolis, and he was working at like Wells Fargo, and
Yeah.
it was just like a weird time. It's cool to see that we both panned out well, but at that time, like I lost everything, my intellectual property,
Oh,
I
for
lost
sure.
my pipeline, I lost my customers, I lost everything. And then I was like in the middle of a breakup. Like, dude, that
I
was
bet.
rough. So when Cato was like, "You want to be an intern?" Almost quit the music industry at that point.
Oh, wow.
I literally was like, dude, like I'm done. Like I was like, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not seeing any success.
Yeah.
I want to see something. And I'm glad I didn't because, dude, my second show ever, I ran it by myself. So it was like, I finally found my niche. But and I applaud. I always tell Miles this. I applaud him for letting me leave and do my thing because otherwise I wouldn't have. Dude, I wouldn't have been on tour with Modson this past March.
Oh,
Like
for
I wouldn't
sure.
have
That's
ran a
dope.
show for DaBaby. Like, dude, like I don't know. A lot of people in the state though are like not about doing, and I think that's the point of my podcast too, is to show people like I'm a doer, I'm an operator.
Yep.
And that's the long answer of that, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the same thing for me as far as this podcast goes because I got really ambitious with it, and I went and booked 20 of them in the next month or so,
Yeah, you
and
did.
I basically like and then I looked at my schedule and I was like, it's go time. Like
Yeah, man, you
no more
chose
messing
this
around.
fate.
Yeah, I mean I just have a full schedule now, and especially with my freelance work on top of that, and we're doing more sample pack stuff. It's just crazy. I
Hey man,
mean,
at least you have like your business is doing well though. That's where
yeah,
you want to be. You
yep,
don't want to be in a spot like me where I'm relying on one check, like because my other industry is shut down. I tell people this: the only reason I work and I'm fully like I heard recently, bro, that like, oh, Kevin, you must be doing well because I see this gold chain on you, like the one I'm wearing. And I'm like, man, like only if you knew.
right,
You know what I mean? Like this music industry shit don't pay you.
yeah,
Entertainment doesn't pay you. You
yep,
have to work in bulk. I get to meet
yep,
really cool people who get real money. Like, but I like, dude, even they will tell you like it took them a decade to make
yep,
6 figures as a rapper.
yep,
You know what I mean? And they're completely independent. Even if
right.
they're not independent, like DaBaby, dude, that dude didn't get money right away. He gets a front and then he had to make that money back.
Oh, no
You know
doubt.
what I mean? So I just don't think people understand like the industry doesn't pay you that well.
No, yeah,
And like that,
you have
it's
to be
mostly
creative.
passion. It's mostly
Yep,
passion.
yep. I mean, I've come close to quitting so many times, and I'm 35 now. So if I haven't quit yet, I don't think I'm gonna quit. But
Nah.
it's one of those things where I've had to reinvent what I do uh, more times than I can count at this point.
Yeah.
And this year was another one for me where I was so busy with freelance work and my own, ideas and goals and stuff. And I had this label, and it was a crew of like 8 or 9 people.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all super dope. I love them dearly and I would do anything for them. But it got to a point where I was staying up until 1:30 reading the group message just go off and having to get up for work the next morning, and it just stressing me out more than anything.
Yeah.
And I'm not dissing any one of them. They're, like I said, they're great, but I had to reinvent what Nice Entertainment is. And I've had to do it multiple times. It's been so many different iterations, and at this point I'm like it just needs to be my own personal brand. And
Yeah.
with my goals with podcasting, with making beats, with releasing sample packs, and just
Yeah.
kind of just doing my own thing. Because I've had 2 business partners at this point, and I don't know how many artists have come through Nice Entertainment, like 20 maybe,
Yeah.
and so it just never gelled with a whole crew of people. So now I
Yeah.
really like just collaborating on a one-on-one basis with people, and I'm still gonna collaborate with the old crew, but it's just time to do me.
Yeah, no, I have a song I haven't released called "Time to Do Me." I literally recorded it like a month or two ago.
Oh,
But yeah,
word.
man, that's literally what I believe the same thing as well. I mean, like, I think if you're smart, quarantine has given you time to really have some purposeful reflection, and I want to get into that a little bit because that's kind of I think I commented this on your post when you first like made this announcement of what you're doing, right? And I was like, yo man, like that's just purposeful reflection. And I say that, but that's a loaded word to those who don't
Right.
know.
Exactly.
And purposeful reflection, man, is when you sit there, right, and you really hone in on who am I, what do I want, and why do I do it, right? Like it's the golden circle of yourself. It's the why you do something, the how you do it, and what you do. So for me, like why I do shows is because I want to bring a real experience to the customer and have them live that forever and always remember that.
Yep.
How do I do that? Well, I bring really dope artists that I know can captivate an audience. And what do we do? CLM Presents run shows. Like that's literally the mission statement of who we are.
Man, I'm proud of you, bro. I mean, it seems
Appreciate it.
like, ever since I started following you and your journey, I've just seen you elevate. And you've always seemed like one of those dudes that's, just has your head on straight and, super straight shooter. You know what you want, you just go for it, and I really appreciate that. Because for me, it's been kind of the opposite. I've had to uh, learn self confidence, and I'm still learning it, and I'm still
Yeah.
learning to trust my intuition and trust what I'm doing. Trust that my ideas are good and stuff like that. And I want to give an example because I mean, for years I just had a chip on my shoulder, and then that's why
Right.
I think I'm 35 and I'm still trying to find success and trying to navigate my way through this. So the example of just how much of a chip on my shoulder I had, it actually relates to Cato. Um, and I did a show, 'cause to see Cato's growth as well is crazy. I mean, because I think he's only like a year older than me. Um, and he was doing little ass shows. I want to say it was like 2010 ish,
Oh yeah, 10 years ago.
2009 ish, maybe. Yeah, like a decade ago.
Jesus.
And so I was still rapping, and uh I did one of his shows, and I can't remember who was all on the bill, but I know that he booked it, and it was at the 411 Club, I want to say. I don't know if
Oh
that's
my
even
god.
still around.
No man.
Yeah, I don't
I was
even.
so just to let you know, it's age wise, I was 14.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I wasn't even in the show realm, but I know the place you're talking about because my parents used to go there.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I did my thing, and you know, Cato dug it. I mean, and he, came up to
Dug
me
it.
after the show, and he's like, your shit's really dope, but I would change your look. And he commented on the Run DMC shirt that I was wearing at the time, and
Uh, yeah.
with how much of a chip I had on
This
my
sounds like
shoulder,
Kato.
with how much of a chip I had on my shoulder, I didn't say this because I'm a nice dude and I'm like a cordial dude, but in my head, I'm like, fuck this motherfucker. Like, like that's what I thought in my fucking head at the time. I was like, fuck
Yeah,
this dude. Like, who is he to tell me like what I'm wearing, like a Run DMC shirt,
I love
like,
that.
and so, but then like as I got older and as I started to mentor younger artists myself, I kind of, I totally get what he was saying, and he wasn't dissing me in any sort of way. He was complimenting me
Yeah.
by saying that I had potential, but hey, if you tweaked this one thing, you could
Yeah.
be, even better. And
Yeah.
and then that's the mentality that I had, when I was when I was your age, pretty much, like when I was like a little bit older than you. Um, and
And the crazy part about Kato, to chime in on that, is that like people when he's also a straight shooter, right? Like he calls me a mini Kato because like we're both super direct people.
yep,
So and that's the thing about us though, is that like man, like you just got to be careful, like because sometimes we be talking to like the wrong person like that. You know what I mean? And I get what you mean because people have two opinions of Kato. It's either he's an asshole or he's a genius.
Yep.
Like that's the only like scale he's on.
Yep.
So I think he's a fucking both. I think he's an asshole genius to be honest with you. But he's not a dick. When he provides feedback like that, you know, he didn't have to give it to you.
Oh, for
sure.
You
know what I mean? Like,
right.
It was just a matter of him being like, dude, I think you're fucking dope. And he told Nate the same thing. He told Nate Millions like, hey man, like I think you're fucking dope, but like you should change your look.
Yep.
He said the exact same thing to Nate. You should change your name. Like,
yeah, I bet.
Side Reel said that in my interview too. Side Reel chimed in and said, yeah, you should change your name. Like they both talked about that. You know what I mean? So, and that's just like the realistic side of the music business. I think people don't realize. You got to get real. Yep. You got to be serious with yourself. If you're surrounded by yes men, you're in the wrong place.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And then that's something that's a hard lesson that I've had to learn. And even yesterday, you know, somebody commented on how many podcasts I was doing and this and that, and you know, said a lot of helpful things, but at the same time, my brain, for whatever reason, I automatically go to this place of anger at first, but
sure.
but then I have to kind of take a step back and be like, no, they just want what's best for me. They, you know, they see the potential, and you know, that sort of thing. And that's the thing that I'm such a nice dude that I sometimes am too afraid to offend people, and I'm getting better with that. But I admire people like you and people like Cato, because you're the type of dudes that, you know, you succeed and you elevate and you just keep on growing and growing and growing. And that's what I've seen Cato do for, you know, the past decade. It's crazy.
Yeah. And much love for you saying that, man. Like that means a lot to me, at least, because I need positive affirmation, and that's something that Cato like doesn't do. And he knows that. You know, for my 1 year at CLM, he literally went, pat on the back, man. That's what I got. That's all he did. And he was just like, you know, that's good job, because he's like, you should be lucky to even be here, because you were supposed to be an intern. Yeah. And look at where you're at now. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, that's true. You know what I mean? Like I didn't get paid in the beginning of this. I didn't get paid till the last 2 months of me doing CLM before this COVID stuff shut down. So like, and I was ready, but like, you know, that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. But like, just the pure opportunity of being able to say like, I got to meet my biggest inspiration, and that's why I've had Mod sit on my podcast, was because I got to work with him. And
I got a Mod story too.
Oh, do you?
You want the Mod story?
Yeah, dude, give me the Mod story.
I got pretty much stories about like a bunch of people, you know. So this is another one of my like 10 years ago, like what the fuck, dude, moments. So I've known Derek for fucking forever. So
Derek,
he used to be in a band called Four Letter Lie.
Four Letter Lie.
Yep. And the screaming dude, Brian Nagan, is one of my friends from high school, and he was on my first album, Mr. Nice Guy, back in the day. He screamed on that, so that was my introduction. So I saw Mod Sun like on MySpace, like doing his own thing right when it started happening. Like right when he started rapping, I heard about it, and like I was kind of following him from the very, very beginning.
Wow.
And so, you know, I got in touch with him, and I don't remember how we got connected, if it was through Nagin or if it was just through MySpace or what, but
sure.
We kept in touch or whatever. And then I finally went to Blooming Sounds when he was recording, and him and Pat Brown, who I don't even think he is really around anymore.
I've always wanted to ask him about what the hell happened with that.
Yeah, I've always been curious too, but I have no idea. But
I heard it was a bad fallout, but I don't know anything else.
I have no idea. Anyway, so I had this track, and Mod recorded it, and
that's sick.
Yeah, dude. And I was broke as fuck at the time, and I didn't go back. I didn't go back to finish. Like I could have kept recording there, and who knows, like if I would have just kept on that path with him, like what the fuck would have happened? Because then he was in Rolling Stone, like the next, I don't know, like within months, or maybe even within weeks, he had this Rolling Stone article that's when he kind of started really taking off. It's taken me so many years and so many of these things to finally start learning.
I mean, dog, like everyone moves at their own pace for one, and for two, like, dude, I have a similar story though. Like, you know who Call Me Charisma is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the reason, like, we used to work together. I don't know what happened one day. Like, we used to drum. I used to drum for him. Okay. And like, we were like, I think I was like a trial run for him because we practiced for like 2 months in his mom's basement. And like, I was like, yo, bro, like, and he just, what he would do is he would set up these 2 shitty Logitech speakers in his mom's basement. And then he would play his music and I would drum over it. That's literally what we would do. And I would put headphones in so I could hear it. And then I would drum at a softer level so he could be able to hear what I was doing. Word. And he would kind of instruct me and be like, yo, man, do this, do that. But like, if I didn't go there one day, bro, and pick up my drum set because of like some disagreement we had or something, I don't remember what it was. I think it was a disagreement or like he was about to go on the tour with Modson and I didn't hear about it. Like it was something weird, right? Because I don't care about beef. I really don't anymore. Like I've changed my tune. Beef is whatever. Yeah. Me and Morgan have hashed this out years ago. We texted him. We're like, fuck it, this is done, right? But what if I went on that tour with him? Right? That's what I always think to myself. Like, what if I went on that tour with him and Modson, and I got to travel the world, and I got to just sit there being a touring musician.
Yep.
Like I've had those like opportunities slip away from me. So, but at the same time, you can't obsess over it, bro.
Right?
Because like at the end of the day, like I'm happy to be where I'm at, and like. And I'm not, by the way, like I'm not excelling, bro. Like I'm not out here like going nuts. Like I have so much work to do, and me and Cato and Buddy all know that.
Oh,
like
for sure,
dude. If you want to talk about portfolio and a life that's been lived, talk to Buddy Vegas, man. People sleep on him, and people I think in Minnesota in particular, they don't look at portfolio or resume. They look at what you're currently doing now, and who cares about what you did in the past, bro. Like Buddy was a DJ for G-Eazy. He's DJ'd for Jamie Foxx. He's
crazy.
He's DJ'd with, Shaq. He's DJ'd with people. Like, I don't think he used to DJ. He was at a Steve Aoki show. And he has all this, by the way, is evidence he's proved this all. I've been like, bro, are you lying to me? And he showed me evidence of all of it. He used to throw cakes off of Steve Aoki's stage with Steve Aoki.
Damn.
In an arena.
That's crazy.
Like, dude, if you want to talk about portfolio and resume, I'm around some of the fucking OGs. Yep. And that's why I'm like learning from them. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I picked where I'm at. Like, Cato, man, he's the fucking CMO of Riff Raff right now.
Yep.
He's chief marketing officer, bro. Like, and so I'm sitting here, right, asking the questions I need to ask. And the only question I've asked is this: how do I work in the music industry full time? And if you can get in the music industry full time and really get a check, and like a small check even, and really start even as an intern, that's you really working in the music industry.
Yep.
When I talk to these DJs that have, like Modson's tour manager, right? He's a tour manager for Scary Kids, a very, very, very big band.
I'm aware
and
of
like,
that.
He's really like, he picked my brain and was like, this is what the industry is like. If you want to do this life, this is what it entails. Like every night you do this. And I'm like, damn. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think people get it. I just don't think some people really took the time to like, and also everyone wants to be the star.
Right.
The point of my rant is everybody wants to be a star and get paid the big bucks. And like, but the funny part is the artist is the one who gets paid the least.
Yeah.
And everyone profits off that artist because you know what? They're a product.
Yep.
That's why, man, you got to think business. You got to think like, is that artist really, unless they own everything, a good exception of that is Chris Webby. That man, if a lot of people don't know who he is, he's an independent artist that is such a niche market, but the dude's a millionaire because he owns every little part of it. He has his own production company, distributing company. All the merch comes from in-house. If you can make everything in-house and succeed, man, you're a fucking G, period. 90%, 99% of artists in the music industry are not like that.
Yep.
Everyone's got a backing. Everyone's got someone.
Yep.
You know, if you can do it all yourself, then that's like when independent was like talked about a lot in Minnesota. Like, I really want to spread my knowledge on people and be like, man, like I've really seen independent. Like, it's not what you think.
Yep, it's not.
It's really you and your small market working together.
Yep.
And when people say like, hey Kevin, I want to be a concert promoter, a lot of people claim they're event coordinators and concert promoters on Instagram. But dude, I don't think any of them have ever filled out an agreement. You know what I mean?
Straight up. It's crazy.
So I just went on a rant because I was like, bro, like I'm fucking sick of these people acting like something. Like they're all Instagram models to me. Show me your real resume with your name on that flyer. That's not just you're a host. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing is people see the, you see social media through a certain filter. You know, like you see what, the successes, you see the shows, you see, this and that, because we as like people get to choose what we put out there and stuff. So I think early on, since I put out this positive message and people saw that I was doing show after show after show on my own, people thought, oh, he's popping, he's, you know, super successful. And I was struggling at every turn. But that's the thing, you know, when you're truly independent in this and you don't rely on anybody but your inner circle, like that's the real grind that people just don't understand. They don't.
Well, also, like when people learn about the history, man, like when they say I'm learning from the greats, I went and talked to my grandfather, who he recently told me, and I didn't know this, and I had to pick his brain for 6 hours. He used to hang out with John Coltrane and Miles Davis.
That's crazy.
And I was like, I'm like, bro, what?
Yeah.
Like,
what?
And I'm like, I picked his brain, and he's like, Kevin, I used to book them. And I'm like, this is a time where I'm just letting you know, racism was thriving in that time.
For real.
And this man was a white male hanging out buddy to buddy with some of the legends, and again, African-American legends in jazz, some of the innovators. And I'm sitting here like, how? And like, dude, when he told me what the real music industry is, the level that I haven't even attained, where you're a legend, you're working with legends. Like DaBaby's not a legend. He's my biggest arsenal, right? He's the biggest person I've worked with, and I haven't even worked directly with him. Like my grandpa was like, yeah, me and fucking Miles Davis are smoking shit and blah blah. And I was like, bro, all these pictures are in his basement. Like I'm just sitting here like, Grandpa, what? And he's like, yeah. So when you say you're an event coordinator, he said, calm down. He was like, you need to calm down. Like I've hung out with legends. Like you have some work to do.
Damn.
That's why when I'm 24 and I'm like really not appreciating where I'm at, it's because my grandpa's really pushing me, man. When my grandpa was younger than me, that man was fucking going ham.
That's crazy. I have a similar grandfather too, actually. But he died when I was 7, which was 92. So I don't, you know, I didn't get to know him. But he was a DJ in the 50s and 60s, and he, according to my uncle, he was good friends with Nat King Cole. And Nat King Cole's daughter used to write my aunt letters like back and forth. And yeah, I don't know the full story, but yeah, I guess he was good friends with Nat King Cole. And there's
that's crazy.
My mom has pictures of him with Sammy Davis Jr. and like people like that, just sitting there having a conversation. Like my grandpa's just got a drink in his hand. You could tell it's like a conversation just like this. And like I'm like, damn, those are freaking legends.
In some of those stories, man, and that's actually after we had that conversation, like, and he's told me similar conversations. That's why people wonder why I take a picture with all the artists I've worked with. I'm actually on my Instagram creating a portfolio, and here's like my ultimate goal. I've never told anyone this, is to literally just take those pictures and save them and print them and put them on a whole wall in my house. So when I enter my music room, I can remember each artist and the conversations I've had with them. You know what I mean? Because like, dude, in CLM, there was a point where I was meeting a new artist every other month. Like, dude, I met like in the same show, I met Chris Webby, Jaron Benton, and Locksmith, some of the really good MCs that people don't know about that I've looked up to for a lot of my like life. I used to watch Jaron Benton when he was with Funk Volume and Hobson and Dizzy Wright.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like I used to like watch Locksmith when Team Backpack was on there and he was a champion of Team Backpack. And then Chris Webby is someone I used to watch Webby Wednesdays on Facebook every week. Like, man, like I'm just so lucky that I feel very grateful. And I think that's where like I take a lot of my lessons from Gary Vee, like to be grateful, to keep yourself humbled. And when I watch some podcasts and when I watch some interviews in the state, man, the whole ideology of, how do I say this nicely? Because I come off very rude sometimes.
Right.
I just think a lot of these local artists are like, man, look at my man, you know what I mean? Like shit. Like just that type of like the way you carry yourself, man, like you're not gonna make it far. You're gonna be a flash in the pan. Just like how a lot of artists that we worked with were flashes in the pan. Like myself, as an artist, I was a flash in the pan. And I have enough humility to understand that. But like I used to act like, hey man, you know what I mean? Like listen to that. You know what I mean? Like now I'm like, dude, I was a fucking dumbass. I'm glad I realized that now when I was 24. You know what I mean? Rather than when I'm 50. So I still have a shot to work in this industry. Because this industry too, man, I've realized no one in here has a degree. Like and even a music degree, like in the high end, unless you went to school for like audio, so you're a DJ, or you know, you went to school for production, or you went to school for music business, so you're this tour manager. I went to school for marketing and sales, so it doesn't really translate well to music sometimes. So like I just know straight business.
Yep.
And some of these people don't know, like in business, like there's a process. Like there's always a cadence in sales. There's always a process to do things. In the music industry, man, there's no, it's all shooting from the fucking
Yeah,
hip.
there's no blueprint.
None, dude.
Yep.
I'm like, that's why it's been really tough because to learn, because I'm like, if y'all know, man, like rappers just try to catch trends.
Yep.
But if you're in the music industry trying to get your business right, music business,
Yep.
people tell me, hey, Kevin, I want to learn music business. A lot of it comes from doing, but a lot of it comes from having humility to understand that didn't work. I sucked at this.
Yep.
Let's try this.
Pivot.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Or like, yeah, exactly. Pivot. Or like, hey man, like the way I treated this artist was too much like I treated them too well. Maybe I should treat them a little less well so they actually give me some respect next time. You know what I mean? Because I've had artists walk on me before.
Yep.
So I don't know, man. I always rant, sorry, but to
no, that's encouraged.
End my rant, like it's just been a really big learning process. And I love podcasting because if people actually want to find value in these conversations from someone who's like been in it, like there's people way more experienced than me. I'm just like able to be like, hey, I'm there working. And then now I can come back down and be like, hey guys, this is what I'm learning.
Yep.
That's all I'm trying to do.
Yep. Well, I think it's very necessary to have people like you, especially during this time especially during 2020, because nobody knows what the fuck is going to happen after this year.
Dude, I'm letting you know right now, when entertainment comes back, I'm going to need like 5 assistants.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I'll work with you, man. I'll be your assistant, bro.
Yeah, bro. Like I'm gonna be signing contracts left and right. I'm gonna be like, organizing venues. Cato's gonna have me running around with like a chicken with my head cut off. He told me that right away. Like we've been talking about. People ask me like, what's going on with promoting? Well, obviously nothing, right? But like we're talking about placement dates. It's a date that you hold. And you're just like, this is the date I want to place for your show, and we'll move it if necessary. But let's sign a contract. So let's say this, man. Let's say me and you want to do a show, and you're like, hey, Kev Loe, I want you to do a show in February. Does that work for you? Yeah, with my tour schedule, February 12th on this venue works. It's tentative, and the contract will make it tentative as a placement date. Contact the venue, they'll confirm, and then after that, let's say COVID's not done until March. We push it off until March. Once COVID's done, that show's going. So like. I'm curious to see how this works because I've never worked in the music industry before, but then my first year is in a pandemic.
Yeah.
My second year, my whole career is going to be a pandemic.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I'm curious to see how this is going to go. I'm really curious.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to go, man. I don't even know what artists like are going to like. I could tell you artists that we're talking to, but who fucking knows if they're even going to be like, some artists are performing during COVID, and one of them that we were going to work with got COVID when he went to like Ohio or something and like came back with COVID.
Oh my God. Damn.
He's fine, luckily, but I'm like, man, like this is why we don't do shows during COVID.
Yeah,
so
no.
There's already enough liability at a show.
Exactly.
Like
that was the last thing, because I booked I want to say probably close between 30 and 40 shows in the time that I ran Nice Entertainment. And my last few shows that I booked were last year, and I only did probably like 3 or 4 because I was helping take care of my mom when she had cancer last year. But I decided early on that I'm not doing a single show until everything is, quote unquote, back to normal. And
I'm just curious to see what these other promoters are going to do. Like, I think quarantine really weeded out. I said this before. I think quarantine weeded out the fakes, the people who are just trying to hop on something. I'm curious to see who actually is going to be able to do it right away when we come back. Because just to let you know, Live Nation is buying all of Minneapolis right now.
Oh,
They've taken this time to buy a ton of venues, but First Avenue pretty much. So like they're trying to weed out their competition because like our only competition is Live Nation and AMG. Anyone who runs a show underneath us, we don't care about, to be honest with you. So, and it's not that we're better than anybody or anything like that. It's just like, Cato. He looks at his competition but doesn't take it seriously, and he's like, I'm just gonna keep moving. But that's why I'm handling Midwest, because dude, we're just hoping Live Nation doesn't expand further than it does. Because like, dude, they're a $10 billion company.
Yeah.
I don't have $10 billion.
Yeah.
I don't have fucking $10 billion. I can't build a Fillmore.
Yeah.
I can't buy out First Avenue. I can't. What the fuck you want me to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I only have a certain budget. So I encourage people when they go back to shows to not support huge companies like that at all. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
for real.
sorry, not at all. Misspoke. Don't encourage them. Don't solely go to Live Nation shows is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. Don't solely go to AMG shows and don't solely go to CLM shows, but go to the shows that you want to go to and like try not to support big companies too much because small businesses are going to need us. I was actually going to add this segment to my podcast where I would go into like a restaurant or something that's like when things are not as takeout, and I can talk to the owner and I can be like, how has COVID affected you? You know what I mean? But like, I'm trying to stay safe. So like, I'm trying to get two, lav mics. I'm trying to get two lav mics where I can lav mic them up 6 feet and then lav mic myself and go on the other side of the restaurant and like be 6 to 8 feet away and talk about how COVID's affected their business. Cause dude, people are begging for us to like support local businesses in Minneapolis.
Oh, for sure.
Think about all your favorite food trucks, bro. They're going to go out of business soon. Like that's why like I'm not trying to like get COVID, but I'm also going to places where to get food where like we know it's safe and we've gotten food multiple times already and we're like, okay, let's try to support once a month. Yeah, to somewhere like that because they're gonna go. I think there's a Mexican place in Minneapolis that like I've been to 100 times. I forgot the name, but they closed after like 30 years of being in business.
Sucks.
And it's like, dude, you're never gonna get that experience again.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just encourage people to like not support huge companies 24/7. Even now, Amazon thriving, man. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to go to like Target just to support another Minnesota business, even though they're pretty big. They're not Amazon. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm just trying to support other businesses.
Yeah, that's a good move, man. I mean, same, man. Especially like my buddy V Washington. He started a company called Vanless Lemonade, and it's some of the best lemonade ever. And he does even through a pandemic. Homeboy did like milkman style deliveries, where he would deliver his lemonade, and he was able to quit his job this year and do it because he's just been hand delivering it and going, it's just been a grind for him, like store to store to store to try to get his lemonade in there. And the dude is just growing, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that, hopefully. And hopefully people take notice to people like that. Because I have noticed that because he wants to do a collab because I've helped him sell to numerous people just from the 2 or 3 posts that I've done for him. And that's what we need more of. We need more of that, supporting each other's businesses. And
but like, as well as I have, I'm going to stop that because that we've been saying this for years, Brandon. We've been saying support each other for years. Yeah, we've been saying combined audiences for years, especially in hip hop. Do you think people are doing that, man? Like, and like, I'm just bringing the reality of it. Like, Bodas is my boy. Like, and like, me and him used to hate each other, but when we combined our fucking like strengths and combined our fucking weaknesses and everything, we got stronger and better. So it's like, why aren't people doing that? Because everybody wants to be the star, though, bro. Even if you're a business, right? Like, I've been wanting to make my way down to Minneapolis because I know Waterwave just opened up a store. I want to go support a local business. I just haven't had the time to. Yeah, like I haven't had the time. But also, like think about how many people are envious of that and like just hopping on a trend. I know a ton of people that be going through there. They're just like trying to hop on a trend, trying to hop on a wave. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know, man. You just gotta be careful because I call this. We're in the land of 10,000 fakes. 10,000 dick riders is what I've called it. I love Minnesota to death. But man, I have not had a positive experience when it comes to some of the local scene, man. Like, me and Nate Millions and Brady and like, some people I used to fuck with really have supported, me and throughout the whole years and never switched up. But I only can count this many people on my hand that have not switched up on me. You know what I mean? And that is scary because even like, it's more cutthroat other places. But I'm letting you know, even in LA, dude, people in LA are more supportive of each other.
For sure.
They support because if one person gets one accolade, if that person can take them with them or just be like, hey, let me put you on this platform to get seen. Because again, everyone wants to beat that 0.01% artist that actually makes a living.
Yeah.
Like when I talk to Derek or Mod's son, man, he makes good music off of money off of music, but he doesn't have that whole big ass house he has in LA because of music.
Oh yeah.
He has an art gallery. He has a publishing company, bro. Like you have to have multiple buckets. And that's what I've learned through CLM is that there's so much revenue at a show that when people say, Kevin, I think it's dumb that artists should pay for an opportunity. I said, why? Because like, if you think about it, they're just buying the tickets. After that, they can sell their merch. They can sell their likeness. They can sell their brand. They have a stage to perform on. Dude, when I was an artist, I was breaking even or making money.
Yeah.
My artist Bodas, every opportunity I've given him, he went to St. Louis. This is a great example. He went to St. Louis for a Modson show that I put him on. Okay. He put down a deposit with me. I knew he was going to make it back because I said, sell your merch. We talked about it. We said, sell your merch, put your booth over here. He's like, he called me, FaceTime me. He said, where should I put my booth? I said, put it over here. And he goes, okay, I found a better spot. He went nuts on t-shirts because of the placement of his booth. And he said, I have t-shirts for this price. If you like me and I brought you any value on this stage, come over here. And then now he has long-term fans from St. Louis. Like, and if you're not making money off a show, it's because your music is probably garbage or you didn't present yourself on stage in a good way.
Exactly.
Like, that's just a fact. So, you know, my main goal, Brandon, for this state is for me to change the script.
Same.
I've experienced it in many different ways,
Yep.
but I think that other people need to join me and be more real and less sensitive.
Yep.
I'm very like I'm a sensitive dude, but I'm insensitive when it comes to people like pussyfooting around the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just the truth of it, man. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just sick of people going
man.
like, truthfully, I just think like, here's the answer, now stop doing this.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, find your way in the music industry, and if you want to complain about it, complain about it. If you want to bring positivity, you know, bring positivity. That's usually the way to go. Usually the more positive you are, the more people like you. But like, that's why like some people don't like me, because like I'm positive, but bro, like you can tell I'm really real.
Right. Yeah. You've always been, but that's what's dope though. I mean, because, and this goes back to the point of people not supporting each other. I do think that this year, especially, and it's just from my observation from like afar, from observing on social media and stuff, and with the interactions that I've had with people, I do think that things are kind of changing, because you were one of the first people to reach out to offer me advice. I mean, not that you've ever been, you know, anything less than supportive, but I feel like that wouldn't have happened pre 2020. You know, everybody would have been too busy. You would have been really busy with, you know, CLM Presents. And I feel like this year has kind of given people the opportunity to kind of take a look around and
I
see
agree.
who's maneuvering in, you know, ways that they like. And, you know, some unity is starting to form. And I feel like it, you know, post COVID, post everything. And I think, and I hope it'll be a whole different level, a whole different playing field. And I think it'll be a lot more like you said, like truth and realness, and people who aren't fake will rise to the top. And I think I have a feeling it's going to be a whole different landscape. And
yeah, I think your inkling, your inch, or whatever you want to call it, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? Your feeling that you're having is true, man. I feel the same way, because before COVID, man, like you're right. I probably would have been too busy just to have some honesty.
Right.
Like because I'm not like, you know, man, I'm fucking too busy for this branding guy. No, that's not the truth. It's because when I'm working 10 hours for Apple and then I'm working 10 hours at home, like my schedule used to be 9 to 6 at Apple and then 6 to 10 at CLM, or, you know, 6 to midnight, and then go to bed.
Yeah.
Because like I even put my preferences down. People have emails from me that said, sorry, I will not be available to respond to emails until 6 p.m. And my window for that is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Then I take the last hour to sign contracts and send them out. Then I would go to bed. And then on the weekends, my girl would be like, yo, I want to hang out. And I'd be like, sorry, I'm going to go to Iowa. Like literally, man, like that was my life. Like, and Cato knew that came with sacrifices. He told me, he's like, bro, you may not have your weekends anymore. It's not like I'm going to party. I'm going to a venue to sit at the venue from noon or earlier until 2 a.m. and then go eat McDonald's and then go pass out and wake up at 5 a.m. and then go back to Minnesota. That's literally what being a concert promoter is like. You literally are getting the butt end of it. The cool part is when I see an opportunity, like when Futuristic's manager says, bring me ice on the tour bus. What would you do? You'd probably try to find a way to have a conversation on the tour bus.
For sure.
Because it's like, that's your opportunity.
Yep.
When else are you going to have that opportunity? And so I sat down with Futuristic on his tour bus and got to tell him, bro, you won't remember me, but 10 years ago you gave me advice and now I'm here.
Yep.
On your tour bus.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know, man. I agree. The world will come to those who put in the work, man. That's what I believe as well. And shout out to the, I don't want to breeze over this. Shout out to the Wiseman for showing me some crazy love recently. The love has been unreal with them showing love to podcasts.
100%.
Because podcasts in Minnesota, good quality ones are hard to come by. I think there's a lot of podcasts I've realized, but a handful of my buddies who make podcasts, I only listen to about 2 of them, and because they're quality, they're fire. Like some of them are just like unlistenable. Because you're an audio engineer. Some things are like fucking, their audio just sounds like this the entire time. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on, man.
Yep,
like,
exactly.
But anyway, to move on from all of that, what's next for you, bro? That's kind of what I say on my podcast. What's next for the podcast, and what's your plans with that? So to wrap this all up.
That's a loaded question, but I feel like it's going to be. I see it as a conversation starter. So I think these conversations are going to be hopefully very valuable to whoever listening. I hope that it, so for somebody like you, I see you as, super confident, super motivating, and, just interesting to talk to. And, you've been through the ringer when it comes to all this stuff. And I hope that people gain value from that. So that's what I want from this. And I'm talking to all different types of people. I mean, I wasn't even picky starting out, to be honest, but I want different perspectives. I want different, just different mental hurdles that people may be facing. Yep. And I just want to give everybody's voice a chance. And because I noticed personally through all of this and from my own experience, there's a lot of people out there that are so talented and so just fantastic, but they don't know how to get themselves out of their, mental hurdles. They don't know how to get their talents out. And I want to give them a platform to do so. And as well as myself. So, and I'm going to be doing a lot more producing, hopefully. I've been cranking out beats like crazy. I mean, my obsession especially during COVID and when my mom had cancer and stuff, I would literally sit and either record samples or download sample packs and meticulously organize my sample library. So I want to be able to walk into any studio with any producer after this is done and make a banger. And
see, that's the way you like. That's a lot of self-development talk, and I fuck with that.
For real.
That's what people need to be doing. I think when people say, what's next? When I ask that question, some people are say, man, I'm keep doing what I'm doing. Like that, sometimes that works, but most of the time you don't want, I test people. You don't want that. You want to say, I'm gonna work on self-development. These are my goals. These are my strategy to my overall, or my tactics to my overall strategy, right? I fuck with that, man. Because that's what I'm gonna do. Like when we get off this podcast, I'm literally going to go back to self-development. I'm literally going to, what I've been doing, I've been reading because I never read anymore. And reading's keeping my mind sharp.
I got a whole stack of books behind this curtain. Yeah, I need to get back to it too.
Me too. Behind my curtain. Same thing, man. Yeah. And then I'm going to continue to do my podcast. That's one thing I want to get really good at. And I've been trying to figure out ways to build a studio, and I'm learning how to do audio. I'm learning how to, I'm learning everything on the fucking fly. So, and also I want to collab with more people. I'm trying to collab with more podcasts, artists, because if people in Minnesota want to tell me that they want to work together, then let's work together. Like right now, when I say let's use this episode for both of us, why not?
That's sick.
What is it gonna do? What's the problem?
Yep.
So anyway, hey bro, I appreciate you for having me on, and thank you for being a part of my podcast. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, man. I'm excited to see your growth, man. I'm excited to see where you go from here, and just everything that you're gonna be doing, man. I really, even though you're 11 years younger than me, I really look up to people like you. Just
much love
with how motivated you are and how smart you are, and just how you just have a great head on your shoulders, man. And just keep it up. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep the grind up.
Lily, bro, you're the definition of a nice guy. You know that? You fucking gassing me up. I much love, bro. I appreciate you. And again, you already know, I tell this to everyone in the X Miles Graves company. If any of you ever want to go to a show, wherever it be at, the CLM's running, bro, you're in. I don't give a fuck. I
appreciate that.
Plus 12, you're in, man. Yeah, no worries. So again, and that's what I like. I don't offer that ever because people abuse that. But I'm like, bro, if I can help anybody, if I can put someone in the foot in front of someone that they have always wanted to talk to or whatever, that's what I did for my buddy Bodes. I put him in front of Chris Webby, who he's always wanted to talk to.
Yep.
And I was like, bro, go. I know you're gonna be responsible about that time.
Yeah, Bodes is the shit, by the way. I gotta shout him out too. I
gas him up.
I need to get him on here because he's one of the best local MCs, and he's always been supportive of me too. Like, and I need to reciprocate that. And I need to invite him on here and chop it up with him.
Get my boy on. Get my boy on, bro. He got the same microphone as me. He's a good person to have really deep conversations with. Because recently he's been getting into like a lot of that. Like, he's reading a lot, and he's getting in himself. He's really exploring who he is.
That's dope.
That's a good person to have on like immediately. So again, thank you, brother. I appreciate you having me on, and I'm gonna dip out.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother.
Peace.